Welcome back to the Coast of Distinct Podcast. It's your boy DJ K. I'm glad you guys tuned back into the show. I haven't seen you guys since last week, man. I had two girls on here about the law, and they was telling y'all guys, look, make sure you invest into Park West Injury Lawyers. They're going to get you out of trouble, man. Look, if you have any type of troubles with any type of drugs, some substances, DWI, make sure you hit up Park West attorneys. They're my girls over there. I'm glad they came. Show love last week. Much love to them. Shout out to my sponsor, 605 Infused Cocktail. I appreciate you guys for investing in the show. Make sure you guys who haven't had it, it's the only cocktail in the world. I did say not Houston, not the United States, in the world. That's big, right? That's infused with marijuana and alcohol, and it's a great taste. It's summertime here. Make sure you mix it into your margarita. You can put it into your martini. You can put it in anything. You know what I'm saying? Your pina colada, daiquiri, whatever it is, down in New Orleans. Shout out. But anyway, guys, make sure you invest into 605. That's 605.com. Instagram is drinkalp6. Shout out to you guys. Today, guys, I have a special show for you guys. You know, when I look, one, it's always a special show, but when I have a fellow Jaguar up here, you know, it's always going to be something great, and it's always going to be something beautiful and some information that you guys need to know. I'd like to welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome, Mr. Todd Smith. Hey, brother, what's going on, man?
I take the plane, just grinding, man, making this dream happen for me. You know how it is, man.
So look, I feel kind of underdressed, you know what I'm saying?
Nah, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
You know,
the brother,
how we do.
Brother came in the studio.
This the
today.
Noops. You know how the Noops, Alpha Sigma. Shout out. You know how we do. We clean.
Shout
at
out
all
to
times. You know what I mean? So I gotta represent them brothers right there. So
I'm not mad at that, brother. Look, next time I see you again, I might have a 3-piece on.
Man, do that, man.
We're in the middle of summer in Houston.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's gonna be rough, right?
Yeah.
So Todd, man, look, I want you to get started, man. First of all, I appreciate you coming on the show and everything, man. And I know you got some stuff going on, especially with black men.
Yeah.
Some brothers, you know what I'm saying? And that's why you came on the show, because I want you to get the people to understand what you got going on. You know what I mean? Yeah. So first, before we get started, man, let the people know where you're from.
Born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
North side of Houston, Eisenhower High School graduate. Both of my parents are from the state of Louisiana, so I'm a first-generation Texan. My dad is from Kentwood. My mother's from Abbeville, which is right outside of Lafayette.
Okay.
They met at Southern University.
Shout out.
You know, the greatest.
Hold up. Shout out where?
Southern.
Hey.
The Southern.
Shout out
University. You know, they met there on the bluff back around 1967, 66. Fell in love, as they say, and got married and moved to Houston. My dad got a job at Shell Oil Company. My mother came and became a teacher. At first in North Forest ISD, which is closed down, taken over by HISD in Aldine Independent School District. So I was born here. I have a sister. She went to Southern, but ended up graduating from U of H downtown. She's also an educator. But yeah, man, just a fellow Jag, you know what I mean? Louisiana's in my heart, even though I'm a Texan. I feel connected more to Louisiana than Texas as a whole, you know, and just out here trying to make it in this media game.
So you know, it's funny you say that, because I know we have a great alumni here, right?
Yeah.
A big alumni base here, and a lot of people that's from Louisiana that eventually moved to Houston.
Yeah.
They say the same thing.
Yeah.
They say either they're from here or they went to Texas. Went to Louisiana and came back. It's like, well, we Louisiana more than Texas.
Because the thing is, like, Houston being such a big city, I never ventured too far to the country towns of Texas. You know, I have some family from Dallas that live in Dallas, but they're from Baton Rouge as well.
Okay.
But so when you talk about these small towns, I'm connected to them in Louisiana more than Houston, more than Texas. You see what I'm saying? So there was nothing for us to go to Southern and have a friend from Morgan City or Faraday or some of these small Jeanerette, some of these small towns. I know those towns. I've driven through them. I've hung out there. So Louisiana, it's a part of your spirit. You know what I mean? You're from Houston, but you know your roots are somewhere else. That's how it feels like for me, being a first-generation Texan.
It is, and then what's funny about that, the culture.
Yeah.
We have a lot of culture that's from Louisiana here.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people, like Beaumont, like my mom's dad's people, they moved from Abbeville to Beaumont. Beaumont is filled with Louisiana people, so you're going to bring that culture with you.
Right.
You're going to bring the crawfish boil. You're going to bring the seafood. You're going to bring the party and the second lines and all of that. So look, Texas is kind of like Louisiana. Houston is like Louisiana West, the Houston area. I call it Louisiana West. You see what I'm saying? Because that culture is still Louisiana. You got some Texas there, but put it like this, man. I'd much rather go to a crawfish ball than a rodeo.
Oh, ooh, hey,
I'd much rather go to Mardi Gras than a rodeo.
Ooh,
a rodeo
really?
parade. Yeah. I don't connect to it. The concerts, yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? I go see some of the artists, the Bun B's, the Mary J. Blige's of the world. But I don't care about mutton busting but I'll go to a crawfish ball in a New York Minute.
But you know what? That's my first time hearing that.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to Mardi Gras than a rodeo.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in Houston, even though outside of the energy corridor and you know the energy, the oil base, it's really not too much entertainment here.
No. Houston is a place to work, raise a family, but as far as partying and tourism and entertainment, it's not. That's not that.
So let me ask you this: and with Regal Media, the inspiration behind it, because I know you said you have an inspiration in our community, and you have a passion about black men, and having conversation, which is a stigma already.
Yeah. And I think it's changing, though. To be perfectly honest with you, I think this is coming. My show is coming out, and my magazine is blowing up at the perfect time because I think more men are open to discussing issues. Like, for instance, I did an interview earlier today, and a young lady asked me, "Will you talk about mental health and physical health and how it affects black men?" And she brought up Jamie Foxx's situation. I think those days of men being scared to open up are slowly shifting away.
In 2023, some objects that black men like people don't know, like some things that they deal with, that they are, like you mentioned earlier about mental health, but other than mental health, some other things that they're not willing to discuss, but they're willing to discuss on the round table.
I think we're willing to discuss pretty much a lot of things now, but I don't think we've always had the opportunity. If you look at media, a lot of media companies, a lot of the big wigs, if you're not saying exactly what they want you to say, they'll get rid of you. You know what I mean? A lot of the cable networks. I've seen this happen with Don Lemon. He got into it with a guy who was kind of explaining to him what it's like being a black person, and Don was like, I'm black. I'll explain that to you. They'll get rid of you. So you have a lot of misconceptions about black men. And Oprah Winfrey, there's a comment Oprah Winfrey made about the myth of absentee black fathers. It's going viral, saying that a lot of those statistics are totally incorrect.
Right.
And I try to highlight black fathers as much as possible and give them a platform, because I've mentioned this before. You can look at numbers, and numbers can be totally misconstrued. Like, even though the father's not in that house, doesn't mean that they're not a part of their lives. And so I know in my family, on my dad's side of the family, I've had a couple of cousins who grew up without their father, but the father didn't leave them. Their father was killed. So you have to, when people look at numbers in the media, I see this all the time on Fox News, absentee black fathers, and this is the reason why, and we don't need to pay attention to police brutality and forget reparations. The problem is there's not black fathers, but is that really true?
Right.
You know what I mean? I know black fathers who divorced their wives, or their wives divorced them, and their kids might be in Houston, but their job took them to Atlanta. So the kid might not be around them until Christmas or summer. But do they have an absentee black father? No. He's just, life circumstances happen.
Right.
And so that's the common misconception I would love to address, but we have to do it on our own. We have to do it on the Culturally Distinct podcast. We have to do it on Regal Roundtable, because I don't think some of the networks, the Fox News, and maybe not even CNN, because they moved a little bit to the right. Obviously not the Newsmaxes and the OAN, because the reality of black men is not something that they want to see. All media has a bias. I'm gonna tell you this. Me saying I started at regalmag.com. I wanted to talk about issues affecting black men, and I wanted to have a positive portrayal of black men. Mm-hmm. Every year I honor at least one Regal King of the Year, somebody doing something positive in the community. But me saying I want positive images of black men, that shows my bias.
Right.
Because why should it be positive? Why don't you just tell everybody's story?
Right. That's
good,
true.
Bad, or otherwise.
Absolutely.
So we're all biased. We're biased from the
to this. Going back to Regal Mag and Regal Roundtable, how do you sell black men discussion? Because I know you was talking about that earlier, talking about the bottom line and how companies want ratings, and from ratings you get millions of dollars.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be straight up with you. It's very difficult.
Okay.
Advertise. I'm glad you got some sponsors. Major advertisers, they don't treat black media the same as white media. And people can say this is a sellout, what I'm doing, but Regal Roundtable, I tried to make it as mainstream as possible and have Regal Mag be more of an advocacy, because I'm doing some business with some organizations who are really championing me getting big sponsorships, but it's like pulling teeth. John Johnson with Ebony and Jet had the same problem. When he and even when white companies wanted to advertise with Ebony and Jet back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, they would have like white models promoting. Like he's like, you need to have black people promoting products, and he was real instrumental in getting. You had people like Billy D. Williams with Coke 45. You had, I know that's people don't drink.
Don't let the smooth taste fool
you. But I
you,
think you had people like Sherry Belafonte or something with was it some cigarette company or whatever. So he was championing that, and he was able to break down barriers. Roland Martin, who's much bigger than all of us, is still catching hell getting advertisers. So I never kind of wanted to limit myself. And that's one of the reasons I named it Regal and not African American, because I think then you limit your whole company. And I wanted the umbrella company to. In Regal Media, I can get into film one day. I can get into documentaries. I can get into music. So I didn't want to limit myself because I worked for a company.
What's right now was major, was big, but it's so hard to talk about it because you could be wrong going either way.
Yeah.
That transgender thing.
That's the thing. I'm going to say this, man, and I've never said this on air, and this is just my opinion. I think kids getting surgery, I don't care what you do when you're an adult.
Right.
That's just my opinion. When you're 18, 21, you could do what you want. But I think it's wrong for parents to, and I'm not a parent, so forgive me, to be trying to get a gender reassignment at a certain age. You know what I mean? I was on a show and had a Democratic representative, a Democratic spokesperson, my boy Dallas Jones, and I forgot the young lady's name, Angela Box.
Angela. Angela was on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I agreed with Angela. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, and I'm in the waiting room, the green room. I'm like, and Dallas, my boy. I'm like, I actually agree with Angela on this. I'm like, I think that what's being pushed, I think it's being pushed more, in my opinion, than when we were children. But a young lady who I know who was around for my show said, and she had made me think, are we pushing the transgender issue on people, or are people more comfortable now?
I think we're pushing it.
I think we're pushing it too, but she was like, well, maybe people now are more comfortable letting it out. But I don't remember, I went to high school and elementary school with one person who transitioned.
Okay.
But we knew from Jump Street, I didn't know he was going to go that far. She will go that far.
Okay.
But we knew from a young age.
So they did the actual surgery,
they go
or they was just born that way?
No, I saw, they was born a man.
Okay.
And I'm seeing on Facebook, I'm like, somebody asked me, where's so-and-so? And I'm going to say the person's name. I said, oh, I don't know that. Might not be on social media. And I asked family members I saw at church, because I grew up with church, in the same church with this guy. And they won't answer the question, like, where your boy, where your cousin at? Where your brother at?
Him, her.
They won't say nothing. And then one of my classmates from high school slid in my DM, like, it showed me the person's Facebook page under a different name.
Okay.
It looked like she had to transition. You know, I'm not surprised at her doing that.
My question is, I know you said diversity, equity, and inclusion, which was a new term that they use in the government and everything. My question is, does that even exist?
Wow.
If you just think about it, it just came out the blue.
Yeah.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now you have all this inclusion, all this equity talk, and this diversity, but does it really exist?
I'm gonna say none of us are all that diverse and equitable, because we just said I don't want to see too much of that. I don't want. That's.
Does it exist?
No, because you can kind of say what I'm saying is similar to what some white people might be saying. I'm tired of hearing too much about George. I'm tired of hearing the yada yada yada.
Right.
And you heard that from people when a lot of the NBA players were protesting, and I understood it. Like, after a hard day's work, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the politics. I understand that. You know what I mean? I understand. So you, as a business person, I said this on Isaiah. You have to know what your core values are, and if you take a stand, you might see a drop. But if you're in the right and on the right, and you're doing what's right, you'll eventually come up. Nike took a hit when they supported Kaepernick, but I think that they're coming right. They came up out of that. Like, these are our values. We support what the brother's doing. Okay, we're going to piss off some people, but we're going to piss off some people if we don't do something. So you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. So if I say we won't, like what we're saying now, if I said I supported children getting transgender reaffirming surgery, I'm going to piss off half the country. If I say the opposite, I'm going to piss off half the country.
I think that's unfair, though, man. You know what? I think that, and we're going to move on, but I just think that unfair, because the thing is now, what happened to the, what is it, the Second Amendment?
First Amendment.
First Amendment.
But people misconstrue the First Amendment. The First Amendment said the government can't infringe on your freedom, your right to speak. First Amendment doesn't apply to private business. I tell people all this all the time. I had a former teacher tell me this during the election when people were getting kicked off Facebook or posts were getting taken down for fake news. What about freedom of speech? That don't apply to Facebook. Facebook is a private company. The government can't tell you what to say and what not to do, with exception. You can't incite a riot. That's why the guy from January 6th, they got the 18 years. They said he wasn't there, but you motivated all this. You incited this.
Right.
So you might be more guilty, and that's Trump. That will bring Trump down eventually. You incited all this. You pumped these people up. You can't defame people. Fox News lost almost $1 billion because they were lying. I got freedom of speech. You don't have freedom of speech to lie on a company and ruin their bottom line.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? You don't have that. You know what I mean? You can't.
It's like defamation to a degree.
It is defamation. You know what I mean? Because you lied. You knew you were lying, and you were what's the word that you were reckless with it. You weren't even negligent. You were just blatantly reckless with it, and you hurt their bottom line. You harmed them. They lost a lot of money. They lost their reputation. How is Dominion going to run an election when half the country thinks that they are doing something nefarious and switching votes? Put it like this. When you were growing up in your mama's house, did you have freedom of speech? Could you say what you want to say?
Oh, no.
Thank you. But did your mama violate the Constitution? No, because the Constitution was her rule.
That's right.
In her house.
In our house, right.
So with my magazine and my talk show, I don't allow cussing and slurs. Racial, homophobic, none of that. Even in the comment section, I take that down.
Okay.
I don't allow people to cuss on my show. What about my freedom of speech? You got freedom of speech. You just don't have to do my show. But I have freedom of speech as well. Because if I'm the host, if I'm the business owner, if you tell me what I can't do, aren't you taking away my freedom? Like I said, your rights end where mine begin. So people have to realize freedom of speech will not protect you from losing your job.
So, but why? Why is that?
Because it's only applies to the government. Even if you work for the government, and I work for the government, you can't even talk about politics no more.
No, I'm saying, why on your show?
On my show, because I wanted the name Regal, royalty, class, sophistication, elegance. I want to keep that image, and I don't want. I told my students this at TSU a long time ago. I would have blown up years ago if I called it ratchet media. But I want to be the opposite of that, the antithesis of that. I want to make a lot of money. I want to be a billionaire. Trust me. I want to be Oprah. I want to be Tyler Perry. But I'm not willing to do anything and everything. My father has a similar story. I don't know if James and them ever told you. James is my cousin and good friends with DJ KO. But my father was the first in our family to go to college. Okay. And his brother ahead of him graduated high school, and his oldest brother never graduated high school. He got kicked out of school, ended up getting killed in the streets, killed in the club back in the day. But my father was never around educated black men. My grandfather went to third grade, and back then the black school was only 3 months a year. So that's technically he went to school for 9 months.
Wow.
My grandmother went to school to 7th grade. So 3 months, 21 months. That's how much she went to school. She could read, write, count. My grandfather didn't want them to graduate high school, not the men, not the boys. He didn't see the purpose. He didn't see the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be on this farm, and they had a nice piece of land. They got a good deal, working in these fields, milking these cows. You know what I mean? My grandmother sharecroppers. And my great grandfather. We got a long line of sharecroppers in our family. My great grandfather was a sharecropper in Mississippi. But anyway, my grandmother wanted them to graduate high school. She didn't get the opportunity to graduate high school. She said, Cornelius, I will do their work. I would do my work and their work, so at least they'll graduate high school. My father was so inspired by the principal, whose name was Collis Temple Sr. If you know anything about the Temple family in Kentwood, the Collis Temple Jr. was the first black athlete at LSU.
Right, basketball.
Garrett Temple, his son, is in the NBA. Collis almost owns half of Kentwood now, places where black people couldn't even go. They would shoot at him, run him off their property. Now he owned all that. Right. You know what I mean? So that's the stock. So seeing a black principal going to their house for dinner, being around educated people. My family was not educated, bro. He was like, and I think Collis, the old man, senior, sent him to Southern for some kind of like, you know how back in the day they had something called youth encampment or something like that. It was something like that, like Boys and Girls Club, something. And he came back and told my mother,
I think it's the Boys and Girls Club.
I want to go to college and I'm gonna go to Southern University. My grandmother cried. Fast forward, most people in my family, after he made that decision, went to college and became productive members of. Not saying you wouldn't have been a productive member of society. There's nothing wrong working on a farm and stuff like that. Obviously, there are a lot of farmers and ranchers filthy rotten rich, but that opened their mind. Oh, I don't have to work on the farm. Right. I don't have to pick cotton. I don't have to, because my mother on their side, they pick cotton. I don't have to pick cotton because they didn't graduate high school either. My maternal grandfather never went to school a day in his life, because there was no schools for black people in Youngsville, Louisiana. He was born in 1902. My grandmother dropped out of 10th grade because her daddy died. And my great-grandmother made all the girls except the youngest. It was all girls, 5 girls, made the 4 oldest girls drop out of school to work. So she wanted her kids to go to school. So my maternal grandmother had that vision, but my father seeing Southern, seeing the graduates of Southern be professional, that changed his perspective. It changed the whole family. 2-3 generations later, you got a medical school student, my little cousin in medical school. You got accountants, you got nurses, you have oil workers, all because of that decision. Now, what if I can do that to one black boy out there, right? Just seeing, and not just seeing me, seeing both of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? My cousin he watches me on TV. He didn't know we were related. It's my third cousin. Oh my God, I didn't know you were related. Little kids do. They watch that.
They do.
That could change somebody's life. I could. Who knows who I'm changing? That could be the second black president.
Right.
That could be the first black female president. That could be the first black major owner of an NFL team, Major League Baseball. You know what I mean? You don't know who you're gonna reach. So
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
But in closing, I want you to what you got coming outside of Regal Media and Mag, like what type of shows people to look forward to, what type of articles in the magazine.
Yeah.
Are there any opportunities for any other companies to partner, any vendors, stuff like that?
Definitely want to partner with anybody, vendors, businesses, content creators. Always need more writers. The show, you can catch Regal Roundtable on Sunday. Well, before, this will be out when the show will be out by the time this airs, but May 28th on an app called CGM TV. You can get the CGM TV app on your phone, your tablet. You can get it on Roku, Amazon Fire, pretty much every smart TV. Just search for CGM TV, or you can go to creedglobalmedia.tv to check Regal Roundtable out, and just expect exciting guests, man. We got regular brothers from corporate America, and then we have celebrities like I had nephew Tommy from the Steve Harvey Morning Show.
Okay.
Marcus Wiley, who's a Christian comedian. Yeah, my boy Jerome Solomon, who's a Houston Chronicle sports columnist rather. So we have great guests. Juan Villarreal, who's a very popular comedian, has been doing work for years in the business. We have a lot of exciting guests, but just think of anything. Nothing is off limits on this show.
Okay.
Taboo, it doesn't matter. We talk about what people, I would think, are scared to talk about, but we do it in a respectful way. We mentioned earlier how we don't want people bashing women or bashing this group, bashing this group. We do it in a respectful way, but nothing is off limits. So just check that out. And Regal Mag, you can just expect us to continue to be advocates for black men, finding positive black men. I want to do a feature on the brothers from the Justins from Tennessee who got expelled. I would love to do an interview with them, but we're going to feature them regardless because I want to feature them as our Regal Kings of the Year for what they did to speak up for the young kids who lost their lives at the Tennessee school.
Yeah, that was
we need more freedom fighters like that. I compare this decade to the 60s. The 60s. Marching at school, preachers, back in the day was the preachers who led the movement, but it's going to be people like us. People in the media, content creators, people on social media, musicians, entertainers, because we have people's ears. We have their voice. We don't necessarily have to march down the street and do sit-ins.
Right.
We can sit right here and have our voice be heard. You know what I mean? So we have to continue to just be advocates for our community, and hopefully Regal Mag can do that. The thing is, man, because of the internet and because of social media, we can't be silenced. Because we don't need the gatekeepers anymore. Yeah, the gatekeepers are cool to have a big corporation behind you, but a big corporation can monitor what you say.
Right, absolutely.
With the YouTubes and all, you can't tell me. I know they have their rules and stuff like that, but you can't tell me what topics per se that I can talk about. You can't silence me. You can silence somebody on CNN. You can fire Don Lemon. You can get rid of Benjamin Watson on Fox News, but you can't stop them from having an audience. They still have their fan base, social media. They can do what they so. We just have to continue to fight and continue to speak. Like we mentioned the transgender story, and I love for people who chime in and tell me that I'm wrong. Nobody can silence us, and we can't be afraid to say what we feel because the reason why they want us silenced because the status quo can be maintained, no matter what demographic. And that's why people from that community are speaking out because they were silent for a long time. Right. And I might not agree with everything they do or say, but black people were subjugated because for a while we were scared before the civil rights movement. Then when Emmett Till died, like we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight now. 1955 was just like the turning point. Then when Rosa Parks refused, that was the same year. So they know we can't be silenced. And I think for too long, I do want a large audience, but I will never sacrifice my principles and my mission.
Right.
If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I'm not trying to cross over, but I'm not trying to limit myself either.
You being you.
Yeah, I'm being me. You know what I mean?
You.
So I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I know you're gonna say what you gotta say. So our platforms are needed more than ever now because, like we just said about the Justins in Tennessee, silence them brothers, expel those brothers. No, but there's a Bible verse that says something to the point that even if y'all don't praise the Lord, the rocks will cry out. And I'm paraphrasing. You can silence whoever you want to silence, but we still gonna be here and we still gonna be fighting for the people. And that's what Regal does. That's what Culturally Distinct does.
Appreciate that, brother. Look, you can't hear the music, but if people they hear the music, man. Look, y'all heard the conversation, y'all heard the topic, man. I hope you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys got something out of it, and you guys see Todd in the street. But Todd will be in the street. Todd gonna be at home, man.
Yeah. I'm a whole about it. If you catch me, it's by accident, man. Y'all ain't gonna. But holler at me on social media at Regal Todd everywhere. If you wanna chime in and tell me, where I was wrong, and holler at me if y'all. Hey, anybody out? DJ KO gonna be on the show. If y'all got something to say, something to write about, something to talk about on the show, hit me up.
The keyword positive. Positive.
Yeah, no bashing, no hateful.
Right.
We got too much of that in the world now.
Right. But the guys, man, look, I appreciate it, man. Todd, I appreciate you coming up here, man, and talk about Regal Media and Regal Mag. Most definitely, I'm gonna tune in and everything. Guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Once again, I appreciate you guys, everybody that support. Make sure you hit Todd up. Make sure it was regalmag.com.
Regalmag.com and Regal Roundtable talk show on CGM-TV. So find the app CGM-TV everywhere. Smart TV, smartphones, tablets. And on the website, creedglobalmedia.tv.
There it is. Make sure you download the app. That's what it is. Culturally Distinct, guys. We signing out. Much love to 605. I love you guys. I appreciate it. And the saying for the day is don't get hurt.